several votes to approve, and that was kind of part of it. And there's
Morning, Jim. How are you this morning?
what I mean, and I thought it was a good rundown.
Sun shining and life is
Where
good.
you're at.
Be nice and warm.
Yeah.
It's definitely a crawl stage right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, that's what you
Design?
gotta do because
Just
you're
about.
running for your crawl. Yeah, you might. Definitely. That's like my grandson last night, he thought he had like celery toast. It's like, no, you'll probably get a sighting when you're on. And then my other daughter said, or you might puke.
Didn't work very well.
He didn't get a big
Okay.
summer. He had a sandwich before he just practiced.
Did he win his game?
But
Did they win their game?
they don't really keep score, they just
Oh, just for fun.
they're just little ones. So, but last night they got to hit the ball without it being on the tee. They got a chance to do that first.
Very
He
nice.
got his both times on the first swing.
Good.
He was pretty good. And he's got his hair mohawked.
It is 9 o'clock now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 a.m., Tuesday, June 25th, and time for the weekly Cottington County Board of Commissioners weekly meeting. We'll open the meeting this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Jim, you want to lead us this morning?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. Housekeeping, if you have a cell phone, which I'm sure you do, please silence it or turn it off. If you do get a call that you need to take, please step out into the rotunda area and take the call so you don't disrupt the meeting. This meeting is being streamed live, so if you address the board, more than likely you will be on the stream. Just a heads up so that you know that's happening. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to bring something to the attention of the board? We would set time aside during the open so that you can do that. We could not act on anything because it would not have been on the agenda, but we certainly are here to hear any of your thoughts and concerns or whatever they may be. Seeing none, how about board members? Is there anything on the agenda that appears to be a conflict of interest for you? I see none. With that, I'll
Make a motion
entertain
to
a motion
approve the agenda.
Motion by
Second.
Hatton, second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
How about the minutes
Move
of
to
the...
approve as emailed.
Motion by Hatton to approve the June 18th minutes. Is there a second to that? Lee, Commissioner Gable, second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries. Let's go right to the reports, and Jim is here, Emergency Management. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Jim.
I've got a few things this morning.
Jim, you want to turn your mic on?
Here we go. We're on now. Okay, I've got a few things this morning to cover. First of all, I just wanted to update you on the FEMA disaster declaration process that we're working with. And last month, we discussed that there was additional damages, and the state was possibly looking at a second disaster declaration. With the projects that we had here in Cottington County, we were told that we didn't meet the threshold and that we wouldn't be included. But after discussing it with state officials, a number of those projects, I think we're going to be able to get in under the previous earlier disaster declaration. For example, south of Walmart on the Township Road, there's a low river crossing there. Well, during that first disaster declaration period, that was totally underwater. You couldn't see if there was any damage or anything. Well, now that's out of the water and there's considerable damage, but they feel that we can, get that under that first disaster declaration because the damage happened back during that period. So projects like that, I think we're still going to be able to address under that first disaster declaration. Now, we're going to have a kickoff meeting. The kickoff meeting is scheduled for July 10th, and that's at 3 o'clock out at the Cotting County Extension Center in classroom B and C. That's for all the applicants, also yourself, the commissioners, anybody that wants to attend that meeting, the commissioners or township officials, city officials are encouraged to attend that meeting. At that meeting, FEMA will be discussing the disaster declaration process, and they'll be telling all the applicants what they need to do and the time frame in which they think things are going to be done.
What was the time on that again?
At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, July 10th, classroom B&C.
Thank you.
Next thing I've got is the search and rescue truck that we were purchasing that had arrived. It has been fully equipped with the light bar and the radios and everything now, and that is in use. That is in use. It's complete, and it's a really nice unit. And again, that truck was purchased with search and rescue support funds. There was no county funds that were used for the purchase of that truck. We'll be hosting a regional emergency management meeting here in Watertown on July 17th. That'll be at FD2. And all the emergency management directors basically from the northeast corner of the state will be here for that meeting. We have meetings about once a quarter, 4 times a year to discuss objectives and stuff that the state has. We continue to make plans for the July 3rd fireworks display at the Redland Arts Center, and we will be assisting with the fireworks, the search and rescue team and myself. We continue to work with the hospital and other individuals on that Stop the Bleed program. That's continuing. We're doing education now with the school officials and nurses from the schools, and we'll be ordering those Stop the Bleed kits to be delivered hopefully about the time school starts. The search and rescue team, like I said, will be assisting with the July 3rd fireworks, and they'll also be assisting with the Rec Center mini triathlon on July 13th. They'll be assisting with Camp Chance on July 10th, July 17th, and July 24th. And then the last thing I've got is I've been working with the State Office of Emergency Management, and we'll be hosting 3 classes here in Watertown this fall and early winter. We're going to be hosting an ICS 300 class on October 29th, October 30th, and October 31st. That's a 3-day class, and that's for the Incident Command System training, the ICS 300, for those that need to have that training. And then on November 12th and 13th, we follow that up with an ICS 400 class on November 12th and November 13th. And both of those, or all 3 of these classes I'm talking about, will be hosted over at Fire Station number 1 in their training room. And then the third and final class will be on January 28th and January 29th. And that's going to be a public information officer class to train individuals on being a public information officer, to work with the news media and so forth, like this spring with our flooding, like you did there at Commissioner Van Duzen. And so we're going to be hosting that class. We've been working on that for about 1.5 years to get that class in here. So that'll be a good training opportunity to get some more people trained to be public information officers. And what's it?
I believe I've had the 300 and 400, and then I did that county official one, but this is a separate one for the...
Public information officer, that's correct. That's
Totally separate.
that's a separate class altogether, yep.
Okay.
So that's all I've got this morning, unless there's any questions.
Jim, I heard on the radio this morning that Cottington County and the city of Watertown was awarded, and I believe it was a $14,000 grant for West Nile. this kind of runs over into your area a little bit. I know you're aware of what goes on, primarily Rick, I'm sure, is involved in that, but,
Milo
and
yeah.
Steve.
Steve Mollengrath.
Yeah, Steve and Milo.
yeah, that's what I meant to say, I don't know why I said Rick, but I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
No, I wasn't aware of that. I know that every year we work on getting
Yeah.
funding for,
They just announced it this
Yeah.
morning, yes, so you're ahead of the game.
yep. No, thanks for the information.
Jim, I was out and took a look at that truck here the other day,
Yep.
out at Search and Rescue there. That is a nice rig.
It is.
And I think we owe a debt of gratitude to the volunteers that serve on that search and rescue team for their efforts in securing that type of property for our needs here in Cottington County. So please extend that to the staff out there.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, Brad,
Equipment that
County
they have
Sheriff.
out there is amazing
Heard you on the radio yesterday morning.
for a volunteer.
I did also.
You're so good. Morning, Brad.
The monthly radio there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus you got in about the Stop the Bleed as well.
Yeah,
A little info on that.
Jim briefed you guys on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Copies here for everybody. I'll pass them around. You guys pass them the other direction. Should be enough copies there for everybody, so. Well, we got a lot to talk about this week because I missed last month's briefing, so. Well, to get started, everybody's got their copy there. Let's go over the monthly balance sheet for May of 2019. We started the balance at $9,650. We collected $20 in copy fees. We collected $8,640.50 in sheriff's fees and $400 in warrant fees for a grand total of $9,060.50. So if you jump on over to the next page, Lee's got it pulled up on the big screen here for us. You can see in May, the Sheriff's Office responded to 663 cases and calls. You can see summertime is starting to get a little bit busier for the office. Responded to 12 accidents, served 86 warrants, 283 civil papers we served. So you can see the civil papers are a little bit up again as well. And transport miles are up a little bit more too. There's 4,124 transport miles. That was a total of 19 transports and 27 people transported out of them 19 transports. If you jump on down to the jail activity there, our average daily population for May was 59.87. Our high ADP was 65. Our low was 54. Scram, we had 19 people on the Scram. We had on the twice daily PBTs, we had 55 people and 63 people on the twice weekly UAs, and one person on the sweat patch for a grand total of 138 people on the 24/7 program. We had 255 bookings for the month of May. So you can see our bookings are up a little bit as well. Coincides with the calls and a little bit busier for the summertime. If you scroll down to the bottom there, we'll go over some of the fees that we collected. In May, we collected, for out-of-county contracts in the jail, we collected $14,178. For work release fees, we collected $5,800. And 24/7 fees, $6,376. And scram fees, we collected $4,377. And April's numbers are right next to May there. We didn't get to report on those last month.
But it's all here.
It's all there. It's all there. Any questions on that before we jump on to the next
Sheriff, if,
few items here?
Mr. Chairman, if it's just, we've been having a lot of talk about, the ADP. We've noticed the jail population's been down in the past few months, so that's good news, and trying to speculate about why that might be the case. And, there's a number of efforts we're working on, but in general, I mean, the kind of conclusion I came from talking to your guys and some of the probation officers is that the judges are giving shorter sentences for the sentenced inmates, and then there's, over the past several months, the Third Circuit Court has implemented a new policy about what you do when you arrest somebody and when they're put out on a personal cognizance bond as opposed to being held pre-trial. So basically, almost anybody that's a misdemeanor does not sit in jail. It's pretty much, I think those two things are probably the major things. I know you guys as law enforcement officers probably have some perspectives on it, but that's kind of what
Some of
guys.
it's also summertime. Like you say, our calls are going up, our numbers are starting to go up now. So it's possible that we could have a spike here come fall, winter, when the court cases finally start to catch up a little bit as well. So,
it's hard to, there's some cyclical aspects to it too.
And like we mentioned, you can see our transport miles have been up. It seems like on average the judges have been sentencing probably 3 to 4 people a week to the penitentiary. People that have been through the probation, been through drug courts, been through a lot of this that haven't worked out.
So it could be kind of getting through a bow wave in the next, I had a conversation with another county just to pick their brain on some things, and they kind of had a similar conclusion. The ADP was down, but they still had the same number of bookings, and so all the criminal activity was kind of the same. But the court was trying to help out the county, and so it got the ADP down somewhat. But there are other things about that too. I mean, it's good, but there's more work to do, I think.
I would like that third court and expedite some of these cases through so people aren't sitting in jail as long too, right?
I say, to be honest with you, it's a little too early to even see if that's doing an impact at all right now. There's some things that we've talked on CC Jack there. It'd be nice to get a rocket docket going on, get our state's attorney or defense attorney to jail.
And I think that's kind of where to the next, and we had this kind of touching on the topic, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. We had the CCJC meeting Thursday last week, and that was kind of what we talked about, was a lot in terms of the process, not so much, CC Jack has been focused on the jail, building and infrastructure, but we ended up talking mostly about process. And that, in some ways, that's more complicated than a building working out, because there's a lot of detail. And you guys are familiar with it as law enforcement officers, but as lay people, we're learning about it, and that involves prosecutors, defense attorneys, law enforcement, the courts, and all these things, all these pieces that need to work together. And it's not an easy thing. And you got people, just a heavy caseload in this county. So. But I think that's kind of the area where we're going to have to be focusing. And the thing that you mentioned is very much, at the core of it, perhaps. So,
like what we were talking about too, or you mentioned about, some of these individuals now being sent to the pen, and that's because of Senate Bill 70 and all the chances that typically, how long does it take for them? And I suppose each one is different, but most of these individuals, seeing it now, how many years has it been, and now they're starting, it didn't work, so they're being sent to the pen. Like, I suppose each case is individual,
a little bit different.
but it's funny how we're ending up with quite a few at a time now that they've all been through the process and given as many chances as they can be given.
Yep.
On the flip side of that too, Brenda, there are a lot of successes too that have come out of that. So, that bill didn't do us any favors at the county level, that's for sure.
And Lee and I had a conversation also about the fact that trying to work on these alternatives, that the individuals who really truly need to be in jail are there, and the ones who really shouldn't be in there are out.
And that's something I think in general that's probably the case. But when they think about, as you pay attention to some of the process reforms, I'll wait till they open to talk a little bit more about some other stuff. But that's the idea. Is and if you do some things, some people that aren't in jail might end up there, and vice versa. So that could happen. It works both ways. So.
Right. As our incarcerated numbers start to become more palatable, have you been contacted by some county people as far as some additional contracts, and other than the 3 that we always have had?
Yeah, actually we're up to 7 contracts now. Flandreau, Moody County has reached out to me, and Day County.
Agenda to approve next week.
Okay.
Just came in.
Yep, so I think Day County you guys approved a few weeks ago, if I remember correctly. Flandreau, he's been Sheriff Wellman up there. He's been looking for places all over, and like I say, I've chatted with him recently. Now that our numbers have been down a little bit, we have a little room for buffer. So we did send him a contract, and like I say, it'll be on the agenda. Sounds like next week to get that approved. So.
Well, I see a lot of people that you have over there now have multiple charges and higher bails.
Yeah, we do have some people that are in. I can think of one person that's been in since May of last year. So that's when we were talking about the court room working.
Yeah.
That's where I think we need to kind of get everybody
Expedited
a little bit more. And it's still a little too early to see if that is really
there's some process stuff we got to work, I think. Mr. Chairman, can I show a couple slides that kind of piggyback from the CCGAC?
Yeah.
So one is to kind of continue the story that the sheriff just told, but I don't want to steal your thunder for next report, so this is only part of June.
Okay.
But Matt gave me the data from Zurcher for up to Tuesday last week. So that just shows you what June's looking like by day. So we're still kind of having that roughly the same trend.
The last couple of days we've been up in the 63 or 64 today.
Oh, so it's going back
it's
up.
already.
I can send it to you.
And we're going to pick up 3 more today, so it'll probably creep up a little bit more. So.
And then another
been nicer.
Then another interesting slide. You were talking about the guy that's been in there for a year. This is those rectangles cover a list of names. So Zurcher, Matt, I've been working with Matt Blackwelder, the head jailer, a lot on doing this, but it's each under those rectangles is a list of names. So this shows the one on the left shows the top 25 bed day users. So I guess if this was a hotel loyalty card,
super utilizers of the jail.
So that's the top number of bed days, top 25 inmates, and then on the right is and the names don't correspond totally, but on the right is the top 25 in terms of how many times they were booked into the jail. So I think the top one there is I believe it might be a drug court person. I think
the top many are drug court.
Yeah. So and what happens is they get sanctioned a lot, so they get admitted to the jail a lot when they violate the terms of their basically their probation.
So you're finally able to start.
Yeah. So if we we might need to bring in some expertise to do this, but at least we can say, hey, can you look at these people? This will give us an idea of what the big problems are as you start looking at the stories with each of these individuals. Yeah. And a lot of times you can show them to the jailer. It's like, well, that guy's like this person's like that, or the state's attorney. I showed it with the names to the state's attorney. She recognized a number of them, and but it just to give you guys an idea that we talked a little bit about this at the CCGAC. Right. So sorry to.
Because if they have different charges, then sometimes it was hard to connect the dots on some of them.
Yeah. So this is it's a start. It's a long process. It's not easy for.
Right.
Thank you, Brad.
I got a few other things here I wanted to kind of touch base on now. If you guys got a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The VEST grant that we applied through the Community Foundation was approved. We got approved for $2,800 for VEST for our reserve department, reserve officers, I should say. That was through the Community Foundation, so I'd like to throw a shout out and thank you to them. The second topic I have here is National Night Out is here at the county this year. It's Tuesday, August 6th. So just asking, I guess, if we can use the courthouse grounds for that again.
I'll put it on the agenda for formal action.
Okay. And then the bathroom remodel that we had done is up and running. It has greatly improved the efficiency of the jail, of being able to get our 24/7 participants in and out, not having to bring them into the jail and having that security issue. So jail staff and everybody is really liking having that up and going. We've had our PPCT, taser, firearms trainings all done for the spring, so we're ramping up. Like you say, you can see our numbers creeping up here. So getting ready for summer. A couple weekends ago, I recently attended the National Sheriff's Conference, and it was some really good training and technology expo there. Got a lot of jail training and some jail topics. So talked to a lot of vendors that were out there, which was really kind of good. So next up is court security stats. We're gonna have a little quick class here on court security stats. So this is going to be a little participation from you guys as well. Without cheating, and Lee knows, so he can't have nothing to say here. So guesstimated, how many people do you guys think are coming through average on an average day All of them, there you go.
On an average day?
On an average day, how many people are coming
security?
through to the courthouse for
And
whatever?
we know this because of the security checkpoint. So.
Yeah,
125.
125, Brenda's looking,
Is that for the whole day, Charlie?
75.
75, 125,
Oh, no, I'm going to say 350.
real close, 409 is the average.
Holy cow.
Winter chicken
I
dinner.
would never thought that bad.
Yep.
That keeps Dave pretty busy, don't it?
Yeah.
Our highest day was 683 people, and our lowest has been 270, so you can see the averages out there are pretty good.
Sounds like a new
Well,
graph.
this is, I suppose, is on court days, some of your court.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
What was the high
We need
again?
a new part.
The high was 683.
83.
And 409 was the average.
Yep, 409 is the average.
Wow.
And you do
Wow.
find things.
Yep, we've turned away people to go put firearms back in their car. We average about 18.2 weapons turned away a day. So there's still a lot of people that are trying to, bypass that sign, which brings up a thing with Milo and I have been discussing about maybe changing some verbiage on the doors now and put something a little bit different. So,
And I wanted to say too, just for people that are watching here, please understand that this is a security issue, and this is the day that we live in now. And I know that Dave has had some run-ins with some people down there that are just adamant about not having to go through security. And if you come into the courthouse and you are going to do business in the courthouse, you will be going through security. So just know that. Leave your stuff in your vehicle and don't bring it into the courthouse. It's not the place for that. And there actually are laws that prevent firearms and knives from entering the courthouse, and those have been on the books for years.
Yep.
But we've just never had the infrastructure to enforce that. Now we do. So it's changing of times, but just don't give Dave a hard time. Let's make his job easy and just come in and get your business done and take care of what you need to take care of.
How many people have been brought over to the jail because of?
we've had 2 people that we've had to escort out. One was brought out, explained the situation, gave him his options. You can bring your weapons out to your car, or you can leave, or if you try to come back in, what the options were. The next one was escorted out. He had some mental health issues. He also had several warrants out of Brookings County, so he was taken into custody. So there are 2 people that we've had to escort out. And then, like I say, then looking at all the, there's been 309 bladed weapons, 9 cans of mace that have been found, 37 other weapons that have been turned away, so a grand total of 355 total weapons that have been turned away. So
Does that have-
process is working.
Does that have firearms on it, Brad, or
Looks like there was 1 gun turned away.
gun?
Yep.
The one comment I had is from an individual that came, and he said, all I wanted to do was get my license. And he said, that stinking security checks, he said, I don't like it. But he said, probably the secret to it, and make certain he finds this out, is Dave said he does a good job.
Yeah.
He said he's personable and he explains things well. And
We
he
got
said,
the right
He
person.
said, I wasn't happy, but I wasn't really mad either.
Yeah.
And it was primarily because of him, so.
The process goes fairly fast, though, early.
Yeah, like I say, I've actually spent time down there too, and it doesn't take but just a few seconds.
Unless you're on court day and there's a few waiting in line. Otherwise, it really doesn't take that long to go through.
It really does go quick.
Plan your time a little bit. Give yourself a few extra minutes.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Invasion of privacy.
Yeah. So I just figured I'd share some of them stats with you here.
So when you think of that, 355 weapons, that we weren't knowing before that have been coming in that really
Yep.
shouldn't have been coming in. So it
Yep.
just proves that things do happen.
Yep, so like I say, the process is working, and it is, like I say, we've escorted a couple of those out. If we didn't have security in place, staff somewhere in the courthouse would have ended up dealing with these people that were irate and.
How many incidences have we had in the last couple of years?
It's enough to put court security in.
Oh, yes.
I never heard numbers or
Yeah,
anything.
there's been more frequently, I would say, right, Cindy?
Yes,
And the
in my
county
office.
too.
Yeah.
Becoming more and more of a problem nationwide, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I say, the process is working and it is doing what it's been intended to do, so. Jumping to the next thing, we've been planning for Kransberg 4th of July, so our office You know, that's a very busy day, busy weekend for law enforcement in general, so we've been doing a lot of planning, working on that, getting ready for the parade. The garage floor, I know Milo's been up here, I actually have the sample if you guys want to pass it around. Our garage floors are done in the Sally Port, so hopefully Jim doesn't get dripped on anymore. So you can see that it was put on a little bit thicker than that actually.
So this is it here.
That's all the different stages of putting that on, so.
Yeah, that's quite a few.
Yep.
No, we haven't had a good test of that yet.
We have not had a good test yet. I was thinking we should swat it and try it. And
I'm gonna say we won't
see
find
what
out till
happens.
winter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one last thing, I don't know if Lee's mentioned it, but the grant was approved for the Boys and Girls Club to have that.
Yeah.
You did discuss that a little bit.
I mentioned it last week, and then
Okay.
the JDAI, Commissioner Van Dusen made it, I didn't, but they discussed
Okay.
the duty description for the
Okay.
the individual, and that will be, Boys and Girls Club will be
Yep.
interviewing, this is for the juvenile detention alternative, they'll be interviewing, I think over the month of July, more or less, for hopefully.
Yeah, they're going to have a position. I'm going to be involved with that because the sheriff's office is named in the grant, and we're kind of overseeing that person.
So what's your
or
take
that's
on it,
gonna work.
Brad? Let's have your take on it.
I think it would be a good thing to try, like I say, we got to challenge the process, to at least see if there's any quirks or if there's anything that we can do better. I think it'll be a good thing to try. Like say, Cottington County up until a couple months ago, we've been the lowest in the state for incarcerating juveniles. So we can give ourselves a pat on the back for that. But there was another smaller county that actually creeped up just a little bit better than we are now. But so these are all good things that we're trying and working towards. And
Yeah. The one thing to mention is that the Boys and Girls Club is such a great community asset. I mean, and without them, I think this, and the idea is to develop alternatives so that you don't have to take a juvenile to jail when something bad, when they do something wrong. And if it weren't for them, this would be even harder to come up with those alternatives. So.
Right.
Yeah, their staff there has been great in this whole process. They've had their arms open for this position for a long time, and I think it's going to do good. It's going to be a great partnership.
Right. And part of the reason that we have had the low numbers that we have is because of that partnership and that whole program, so.
The club,
Probably so.
Boys and Girls Club.
All right, good. Anything else for Brad?
Brad, just one more thing. You want to touch on the training that the deputies went through this weekend, the SWAT training?
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. Every 4 or 5 weeks we go out and we get all the team together and we practice with our equipment and do some SWAT training. Try to hit different schools. This one was at the middle school, not the middle school, but the intermediate school. So it's good for everybody to get in there and see all the nooks and crannies and train in those facilities. So that's something that we do monthly, every 4 to 5 weeks. So.
You got to work with my daughter then.
Yep.
You get her straightened out.
No, we worked on it a little bit.
All right, thank you, Brad.
Right. Yep, thanks.
Keep up the
Thanks,
good work.
Brad.
All right, let's go on to item number 7, action on sealed bids received for on-sold tax deed property. We had to delay this from a couple of weeks ago because we needed to get it advertised, and we did do that, and we still have a couple of sealed bids, right?
Yeah, we actually have one more than we did
Oh, well, we
a couple
got,
weeks ago, so we'll see what they're
now we
for.
got to make decisions, huh?
Well, it'd be really nice, we have 3 pieces of property, it'd be really nice if they were one for each piece.
Different,
but- Okay. All right, so the first bid is from Corey Jans, and it is for property located at 307 2nd Street in Henry. The bid is $4,000. And I want to make sure I've got the right piece here.
Yeah, they have 2 on 307 2nd Street. Oh, actually,
Well,
there's
there's-
quite a few.
There are 2 that are similar in the area.
Okay.
And then he also submitted a bid for the second piece in Henry. And these are identical to the bids he submitted several weeks ago, and this one was for $7,000. So the costs due to the county for the back taxes and our advertising and everything, the 2 bids that he has submitted more than covers our costs. Let's look at the third